By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Welcome, witches young and old. Samhain is almost upon us. And throughout this month of October, the veil between this world and the next is getting thinner and thinner. So this is a perfect time to communicate with those on the other side. It is also a time when you need to watch out for nasty ghosties. And so I'm going to be teaching you ways to protect yourself and your home from unwanted visitors. In this video, I will be teaching you how to create a beautiful altar for Samhain, which includes protective elements against any negative entities, but also elements to please any dear departed who may decide to show up. Also be sure and stay all the way till the end of the video because I'm going to teach you not one, but two spells. One to actually call on your loved ones using your altar, and another to raise your and strengthen your psychic abilities, because on this evening out of the whole year, this is when our psychic abilities are at their strongest. In fact, on this night, if not on any other, people actually used to do readings for each other to see what the future held in store for them. So I will show you how to use your altar and do a spell so that you have super psychic powers. So what can you put on your October Samhain altar? You can use squashes and pumpkins. You can use little ones. You can use larger ones to surround it. Any size will do. Pumpkins are seen as protective, and you can carve protective sigils on them or protective symbols. Of course, on the eve, on Halloween, you can of course carve a jack-o'-lantern and place that outside your front door to ward off evil spirits. There are several trees that are used in protection magic. One of them, very famously, is the rowan. I could not locate one. I know I've seen them 100 times walking around, but I could not find one. But there's also the fairy trifecta, and that is the ash, the oak, and the thorn, meaning hawthorn. The mighty oak has always been seen as a very protective spirit, as most trees are actually. What is commonly done is that you can use the leaves. If you place the leaves inside your home, they will protect you from evil spirits. Likewise with the ash, in fact, people used to strew ash leaves in the four corners of their home specifically to protect it against evil entities. Fun fact about hawthorns is that they were once believed to be witches who had turned themselves into trees. The Celts believed the hawthorn to be a gateway between the human and the spirit world. So this is just a really powerful tree, and I found one very, very close to my house. So I have some branches which I will be putting on my altar because, in addition to its many other fabulous magical qualities, it is said that a branch of hawthorn placed anywhere in your home will protect it from evil ghosts. As I went out this afternoon to collect some ash, which I also found growing not half a block from here, I found this huge outcropping of rose hips that had escaped somebody's garden and was growing all over a street lamp. So I very hastily pulled out my scissors and cut myself a couple of branches. Rose hips, among many other things, are also used for protection. Another fun fact about roses is that it is believed that they grow better and, I think, perform better magic when stolen, which is what I did. So, enough about protection. What else do we need? Well, how about something to feed the spirits? You know, a tasty treat so that they'll eat that instead of your brains. Two such items are apples, which have long been related to Samhain. It wasn't originally, but when the Romans came and conquered the area, Romans, of course, if you studied history, you'll know that they never stamp out the religion that is there, but they will sort of incorporate it so that it's just a nice little mix. And at the same time of year, they celebrated the festival of Pomona, which was to do with apples. And so this became also a part of Samhain, and the tradition of bobbing for apples is actually originally one of divination. So apples, not only can you put them there to feed the spirits, especially if you are asking a spirit, say of a deceased loved one, to enter your home to come visit, you can put apples there for food and also to increase your chances of them showing up. Another plant that you can use is called the snowberry. I've got snowberries growing wild and otherwise all over the place in my neighborhood. I never used to know what they were, so I used this app, Picture This, to see what it was, and then I looked up what its magical properties were, and what kept popping up was that they were considered a food for spirits, for ghosts. And I can imagine that because at night in the moonlight, they're very white and they glow. They actually like glow in the dark. And so I can imagine that people thought, oh, this will attract spirits because you can see them in the dark and they look so beautiful and plump and delicious. For the ancient Celts, Samhain marked the end of the summer and the beginning of the winter. They only had 2 seasons, summer and winter. So this marks the end of food and a lot less light, and so this is also a time of light. They used to light bonfires. Now we might not be able to do that as much these days in the modern world, but we can celebrate by lighting a whole lot of candles. Now I'm going to show you some spells that you can do using your Samhain altar, but before I do, let me remind you to like this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you are notified when I upload. And now back to some magic. So how can you use this altar as opposed to just, well, you can just leave it there and let it do its protective thing, but here are a couple of spells that you can do on Halloween or All Hallows Eve. If you would like to communicate with a deceased loved one, you can put a black candle on your altar, a picture of your loved one, and something for them to eat. So in keeping with the tradition, so you know, your apple or your snowberries. And then you're going to light your candle. You're going to close your eyes and you're going to meditate. And you're just going to send loving energy from your heart. Just all the love that you feel for your dear departed. Just send all that love to them and ask them to be with you, and ask them if they have anything to communicate with you. And just stay in that meditative state for a while and see what happens. Don't try to force it or anything. You might hear something, see something, know something, feel something. You know, maybe you'll just feel an emotion, maybe you'll just feel love, warmth, whatever it is, just let it happen. And when it's done, don't blow out the candle, you know, snuff it. And make sure, you know, if you haven't made your altar exactly as I have, make sure that you have some kind of protection in place against evil spirits. So the oak or the hawthorn or the ash. You could put some salt across your doorway. You could put salt around yourself and the altar, you know, a circle. And of course, you can always use your trusty jack-o'-lantern. You can put it by your front door. You can put some cute little ones in your window. If you have an ash tree available, you can take 2 twigs, cut them exactly the same length, and make a cross out of them. Tying the middle with some red string. You can hang that in a window, in your doorway. That will also protect you. Since Samhain is considered a time when people have much stronger psychic powers. In fact, traditionally, this was when people would practice divination, if on no other night, and try to foretell each other's futures. So if you want to do a tarot reading on that night, you can use your altar to draw more power to you. So you could light a red candle, for example, because that's, you know, fire, red energy, more power. But you could also light a purple candle. A purple candle stands for spirituality and wisdom. And of course, you can always light a white candle because they're all purpose. So you just light that on your altar and go ahead and do your tarot reading. And do look out for this coming Halloween, because I will be lighting my candle on my altar and doing a very special super reading. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer during this reading, post the question in the comments below and I will add it to the questions that I ask the cards on Halloween. Well, that's it from me for today. If you enjoyed this video, do please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when I upload my next video. And until next time, remember, the world is full of magic, and so are you.